and welcome to another episode of All That Film. What's up, cinephiles? It's your boy, Hey, here hosting another episode for All That Film. Joined with me, as usually, Jude.
Hello.
And first-time host, coming in ripe for the top thrillers of the 2010s, is Theo.
Hey, what's up? I'm Theo. Hey, Mom.
Theo, tell us one of your favorite films of this year so far.
Okay. I would say my favorite movie of all time for the longest time was Children of Men. But right now, The Farewell has overtaken that. And it's definitely one of those things where I think, oh, it's so recent. I just watched it, you know. But I'm just very taken by it. I thought it did the whole. I thought it showed the whole first generation, second generation Asian American experience surprisingly well, better than any of the other movie I've seen. And it's one of the movies that, like, when my other friends saw it and we were talking about it, like, it was just so personal and so relatable. The only things I could talk about were like, oh, but I gotta explain this to you. Like, oh, I gotta explain, like, oh yeah, those spicy peanuts that were on the table. Like, this is like what it means. And like, oh yeah, that food they were eating. Like, oh, that detail. And it's just a lot of things. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, because he was just like, oh, but like, how did it make you feel? Like, can you talk about the movie? And I was just like, oh, but like when she did this, it's just like a lot of small things. And then it was very funny because then I had the thought like, oh, I guess this is why representation in film is good. So I definitely don't think it's that good of a movie, but I think it's my favorite, hands down, of this year. And for now, it's remaining my favorite movie of all time. So that's me. If you couldn't tell, I'm Asian.
Wow, really? What?
So yeah, great pick, Theo. We're going to be moving right into a familiar segment where we take fan nominees and vote if they should be in our fan vote at the end of the year. These, of course, are a tweet that we have on Twitter. I don't think it's pinned right now anymore. I'll probably change that before this episode airs. However, if you want to nominate the 3 most important films of the decade to you, you can do so replying to us, or you can find us on Discord. You can find us on Letterboxd and just spew those 3, and we'll vote on if it deserves to be in the All That Film fan vote. Theo actually hadn't brought up any films yet, so we were going to let him bring up his 3. Theo, what's your first film?
Definitely. I have to say, I personally really enjoyed First Reformed, and that, to me, it's a movie that, I mean, honestly, all these movies are movies I completely understand if someone gives a half star or just absolutely hates. And I've actually had conversations with people who are like, oh, I totally hate that one. And I just don't have anything to respond because they're totally right. But to me, I would say First Reformed is definitely one of my 3 favorite movies of this decade. After that, I really love Burning. I was very taken by it, and it's a movie that I'd have to watch like a few times, but yeah, I'd like to talk about that one more. And my third one is, I hope y'all don't judge me too much for this, but I really thought The House That Jack Built is one of my top 3 movies of this decade.
Nice. Some incredible 3 picks. So me and Jude are going to be voting, so we'll open it for First Reformed. Obviously, 3 yeses for each of these films for Theo. Jude, what say you with First Reformed? It's second time trying to get into that illustrious fan vote.
I think it's quite an interesting film, but well, I really like the first half of First Reformed, and then I completely switched off for the second half. Something about all the church politics and things is like, oh my god, it really made me snooze. So I'm gonna have to go for a no, unfortunately, on this one.
That's completely
just out of principle.
I respect that.
I get we're probably counting First Reform as 2017. I just realized, because we're going off the actual Letterboxd dates, not release dates.
Oh, but the Letterboxd dates are stupid.
I know. I just mean the reason is because I don't know. It's all arbitrary, but people have brought up certain movies. Like I brought up Mommy in 2013 or 2014, like the wrong year relative to when it came out. I was just saying that it's going to be coming up on Best Picture voting pretty soon.
I see.
And I think with our hosts, I can't really see another movie winning. I'm not as high on First Reformed as most are. However, I think it's a film I need to watch, so I'll probably do it for the repicking of the Oscars that year. But it's going to be a no for me. So twice that First Reformed got bounced.
I feel you.
Yeah, but no, I think it is a really important film, especially of this decade. But for the next one, I'm actually gonna ask for a little guest to come on here to help us out, because I haven't actually seen this film, and we wanted to vote on Theo's 3 picks. We didn't want to separate him and make him pick a movie he didn't like Shrek 4. That's what that's his 4th film, actually.
Yeah, that was my. When you
really missed the cut.
The real tragedy is what's number 4.
So yeah, while we're waiting on him to join, Jude, what are your thoughts on The House That Jack Built? Would you let it into the tourney?
Oh, absolutely. I love The House That Jack Built. And it's so interesting because the first time I saw it, I just thought, oh wow, this is a really interesting take on serial killers. It's such, in-depth take on their psyche. But then, because that was the first Lars von Trier film I watched, so I did not get any subtext at all. And then, having seen more of Lars von Trier's films, I've come to appreciate it even more. So yeah, I love The House Jack Built. That's a yes from me. Big fat yes.
And then, of course, the guest listener, or not guest listener, the guest host to give us our 3rd vote. Blake, how do you feel about The House That Jack Built getting into our fan vote?
It's one of the best films of last year.
And yeah, okay.
Probably my favorite Lars von Trier film. Matt Dillon is really great in it, and it's a really funny movie all around, even though that sounds terrible.
I completely agree with you. It's hilarious. I was laughing the whole way through.
And it's really emotional when he's talking about his architecture for some reason.
Is that going to be a big old yesy for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Blake.
Interesting. So is it going through now?
Yeah, no, it's in the fan vote. It joins the likes of I think Green Room, Grand Budapest Hotel, the Vitch, Inside Llewyn Davis, all those good ones. And then the last one sort of relates. So we'll talk about this one a little bit more to kick off the thriller talk. Real quick though, the last film on here. The only reason is because I wanted to make this a little spicy, and I know how it'll go if Blake votes. But the last of Theo's films on here is Burning. Jude, what do you say about Burning getting into the tourney?
Yes, that's a big yes for me. I really like Burning. It's just so chilling, and it keeps you engrossed. The atmosphere in it is just so good. So yeah, that's a big yes for me for Burning.
I remember completely wrong, apparently. I thought Jude thought Burning was boring.
No, that's Blake.
No, but I thought both y'all
Blake
thought
called
it
it a
was boring
snooze
for whatever
fest.
reason. I wanted, so I haven't rated Burning yet. I don't know what to rate it, but I think just for that, I want Burning to get into the tourney, so other people have to watch it. And I don't know, it's just a film that it doesn't necessarily even warrant being rated and being exposed to. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a masterful piece of work in a lot of aspects of it, especially with Steve Yeun or Steven Yeun.
Yeah, I think either one is good. I think he goes by Steven.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, he is incredible in this. Really great film. So yeah, 2 out of his 3 films are making it. Good job, Theo.
Oh wow, is that? Oh, okay, nice.
Solid. That's solid.
I gotta get some recs from you guys now.
But yeah, we'll kick things off with the best thriller of the 2010s. Okay, so we're going to be talking best thriller of the 2010s, as mentioned before. Really, really ambiguous genre. Maybe the most ambiguous genre we've done. Jude, what would I mean? Obviously, foreign film in itself is ambiguous because it can be anything.
Yeah.
But
it's foreign. Oh, sorry.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
I was just saying, this is the first time I'd heard of foreign film actually being considered a genre.
Sorry, that wasn't a genre. It was just a category we did.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
keep
I
going.
wasn't considering that. Like, oh, it's foreign. It's a different genre. No, but we just did a best foreign film of the 2010s.
Mm,
I thought
see.
that would be fun, and we could talk about a lot of films that don't
Yeah, so
often get
Burning,
mentioned
right?
as much.
Just kidding. Keep going.
I mentioned Burning for a little bit. I think I did that episode with Turtle and but let's just go ahead and get into the Burning talk because that's a thriller, correct?
So
Yes.
I certainly
I think
so.
along the way we can.
Oh,
Oh,
keep
sorry,
going,
Theo.
yeah.
I was just gonna say I think along the way you can pick up where each of us lands on is a thriller. I don't think we necessarily
certainly.
have to do it outright like we did last time. But Theo, kick us
Uh-huh.
off with Burning thoughts.
Okay, well, yeah, I was gonna say, I actually really echo a lot of, well, either true or falsely remembered sentiments about Burning being very boring, because I remember when I watched it, I was playing it, and just the first, I believe it's over 2 hours. I don't remember exactly how long, but at least the first
2 hours and
hour.
20 minutes, I believe.
2 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah, totally. So I remember the first hour, I was just watching it and I was thinking, wow, this is beautiful. I'm not invested in this at all. I'm not really feeling it. It's okay. I really like how it's just kind of a view on, a day in the life of South Korea, or like Seoul, a big city. But yeah, I was really not feeling it. And so I completely understand people being bored, which is interesting that, because I consider a thriller like after the fact is how I feel about the movie. I think the
Yeah.
second half is really where it picks up.
Mhm.
I mean, not even that much. I just think you start to realize, oh, there's actually a lot going on.
To this, yeah.
Yeah, such that like the first half's like very mundane qualities is actually kind of key to
Yeah, exactly.
realizing like how, oh, small things are not adding up, and it's these small things that were present in the first half.
Exactly.
So that's like my very basic thought about like why I think Burning is a special kind of thriller.
For sure. I think that definitely because while I was watching it, because I know Jude heavily recommended this. A couple of people from Film Club brought it up. So I was like, okay, I'll finally watch Burning. And just like the first 45 minutes in, I was like, okay, everything's well shot, everything like the score is great. The editing's like fantastic, the acting's fine. But I was sitting there thinking the same thing you were, where it's like, what's happening here? And I think in doing so, like you said, like it makes it entertaining later on when crazy things are going down.
I was if I can add something real quick, if that's okay, and I'd love to hear like your guys' thoughts more. I thought it was very interesting because I really only been starting to actively watch movies this year, and I was just trying to catch up on some of the more talked about ones from the like 2018. And so I watched Burning very early on this year, and since that time I've then actually seen Zodiac and Memories of Murder and other ones like Under the Silver Lake.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. It might be something we're going to talk about. And so
me and well, we can sizzle it right now. Me and Theo are probably going to be talking about Bong Joon-ho films, like his whole filmography.
Okay. Yes.
So
and
big on that film in my camp.
And so like those are all movies I actually really like. I feel very positively about. But something that I thought was very effective in Burning, and why to me it like still haunts me sometimes, is like in those movies like I'm just picking Zodiac and Memories of Murder as an example, and that like a lot of the filmic aspects I think are purposely making you feel uneasy. Like, oh, there's something, they're based off, murder cases, music, shoot the shots, etc. And so that's why I thought like Burning was so insidious and haunting when I finished it, even though it doesn't seem like it, because the first half is literally just, oh, this is just like a mumblecore, it's just like slice of life. It's just like nothing's wrong here. And then when things actually start to go right, I don't know, to me it very much affected me. We're like, oh, I really thought nothing was happening, and now I'm realizing like it's just very unsettling. Like something you really have to pay attention, and nothing's telling you something's wrong. It's just a feeling. It's just like a gut feeling in you. And I really appreciated that there wasn't like necessarily a score that was like, oh, like here's the scary part. And again, I like those in other movies. It's just what elevates Burning to me as like one of my favorite all-time movies.
Awesome. Do you have any extra thoughts? Sorry.
No, I'd like to hear you guys talk about it. If I feel like I've talked a lot about it. Just
Oh no, you're good.
was on
I
my
was just asking if I agree with a lot of the same sentiments you were talking about. Do you have
No,
anything
yeah.
to build off of Bernie?
Not really. Nothing. There's nothing else I can say that you haven't said better. But like,
I'm sorry.
no.
No, these are good things. Like we
You
want
know
you to talk
exactly. Yeah.
like-
But the only thing I wanted to add is that the short story that it's based on is really worth reading as well. It literally
Ooh.
takes 15 minutes to read, and it
Wow.
complements the film so well. I think the original is called Barn Burning. It's by Murakami, and it's so worth reading. It's really good, and it really enhances the film as well.
Recommended that to me because he was like, "Oh, well, you need to check this out to get like even more knowledge on it." Jude, I'm gonna throw to you. What's a thriller that you want to bring up from this decade?
Ooh, well, whilst we're in Korea, I'd like to bring up The Handmaiden.
Oh,
I'm
fascinating.
so bad for not seeing this.
Have you not seen it?
It's one of the few that I'm like, I'm saving this experience for.
Hey.
I'll probably watch it tonight, honestly.
Yes, do it. I
Oh,
just love everything about The Handmaiden. Like the script and the story is so good, and how like it keeps pushing new dimensions on the characters, and it's always sort of one step ahead of you. Like just the whole momentum of the film, it's sort of creeping along, ticking along. I just love everything about it. It's so good.
that's super.
People love it.
I'd love to hear, because this is something interesting to me. I believe it's the sixth. It's the sixth Park Chan-wook movie I've seen, and I'm curious. Like,
Right.
I'd love to hear if you have seen his other movies, like how you would sort of have those movies in how would you have The Handmaiden in conversation with his other works?
Yeah, I think like I think The Handmaiden was the first Park Chan-wook film I saw, and I loved it. And I thought, oh god, this guy's gonna be one of my favorite directors. And weirdly, I've been really on and off with him since.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
Upset.
I mean, I know Hay loves the Vengeance trilogy. I really do not.
I haven't seen the third one.
Have you not? Oh man,
No.
I think the third one's the best one, but I don't get on with those at all.
Okay.
But having said that, I was going to bring up Stoker later, which I really love. I love Stoker. Joint Security Area, I really like as well. Because I think The Handmaiden is best. I think. Yeah, I really like him, but I am on and off with him. But Handmaiden probably is best for me, I think.
That's very interesting because I again want to bring this back to The Handmaiden, but I'm glad to talk about it because usually there's not. I find it can be hard to find people who've seen a lot of his movies,
Right.
And so The Handmaiden to me, it's interesting. I like that you talked about Stoker because when I watched Stoker, and this was years ago, so I don't, unfortunately, not super familiar, but I remember being incredibly impressed by it. It felt like compared to his Vengeance trilogy, which I appreciate, they're not my favorites, but I like a lot of aspects of them. I'm a no sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. That's my number one, personally.
Hey.
I actually don't like Oldboy that much. I
really don't like Oldboy.
I've said this before.
There's that one corridor
podcast,
scene, which is like, wow. That's it.
Yeah, I've said this before on the podcast, Theo. Oldboy was actually one of the few films. So I very much avoid spoilers as much as I can, even for like major films.
Totally.
So someone's like, "Oh, Fight Club," and I'm like, "No, don't talk unless I've seen it." And someone was talking in like while I was playing basketball about Oldboy, and they poorly explained it. But the problem was it was always in the back of my head because he explained the whole plot of the movie.
Oh no!
And it was always in the back of my head, like I swear this is the movie that he was talking about. And then I watched it, and like 10 minutes in, I was like, "Yep, it is."
That's actually quite unfortunate because I think a lot of it is the fun, and of course, a movie needs to hold up on a rewatch, but
for sure.
And so I was just saying, like, I start off with the Vengeance trilogy, and then when I watched Stoker, it felt like a total inverse. It reminded me of sympathy for Lady Vengeance, but it was almost like even more sensual. It was very like kind of and I don't know, like I would say Gothic Victorian-esque, like
Yeah.
For sure.
sensual. And now that I've seen In the Mood for Love, I might even compare it a little bit to Wong Kar-wai. But so The Handmaiden, to me, when I watched it, I was thinking, oh, this is so fascinating because it's kind of, to me, the bridge to that was Stoker, which I think
Oh, yeah,
not many
absolutely, yeah.
people have seen, or maybe I'm remembering correctly, but I feel like it's not as appreciated.
Oh, not
as
that
those
many
other
people have
works.
seen it.
Mm.
So yeah, I just think that's really cool that you brought that up, and I agree with you with The Handmaiden. I thought it's very fascinating because to me, I actually am quite keen on it. I really do like it. Part of me was almost upset because I wonder if I had seen a fair amount of Korean, particularly Park Chan-wook's movies, at that point, such that
Right.
when I started to understand the structure of the story, I like really started to understand it. And it's like
Yeah.
I can't fault the movie for that. That's just
No, it takes a while to actually understand what's going on.
right. And it is very fascinating because I was just discussing this with some other friends where we were talking about The Wailing, where it's just sort of like
Yeah.
here's all these twists, like is that good, bad? They're like so
Right.
many.
Yeah.
And I just sort of say, oh, I think that's a convention of the genre, and in this case, it can diminish it if you're familiar with it. But I agree with you. I really like the way that Park Chan-wook, even with the twists, it is almost three. You should edit that out. Even with the twists, it's almost like different movies within the movie.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Well, sticking to the theme of South Korea, I'm actually going to mention a film.
Saying it
Yeah,
forever.
no. Well, the thing is, I just watched this, so that's why I want to bring it up real quick.
Certainly.
It was one of my films I still needed to watch for the decade. So I actually put it above Handmaiden and even The Wailing. I'm glad you brought that up, Theo. Not rank wise. I just mean like on my watch list.
Oh,
Okay.
totally.
Let's see.
But it was I Saw the Devil.
That's one of the big gaps. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, really, really interesting revenge story. There's some very suspect things in the script, particularly in the middle. With I don't want to point it out to you guys and have it like ruin the. Well, I don't know. I don't think it'll ruin the film. Just the way the treatment of women in this film in particular is a
Right.
little twisted. I know that's some of the intent, but I don't know. There's just something that could be reworked to make it like a. Because there's things that I really like about this film. I don't want to say like too much to give anything away, but it draws parallels to a lot of like Daredevil or like even Batman characters in a weird way.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think the two lead performances are spectacular. Lee Byung-hun, who's in G.I. Joe, and I think I remember him being like quite good. Yeah, G.I. Joe's not a good movie by any means. Like, I'm not saying it's great. I just remember him being like solid in it.
Okay, certainly, yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one is Choi Min-sik. He's the villain, but he's also the main guy in Old Boy. So it was really odd, like seeing the switch to him being the antagonist. But really interesting film. It's got problems to it, but I think it's worthy of being in the discussion of best thriller. It's not towards the top. It would probably be outside my top 10 that I'm wanting to bring up, but it's just one I thought because y'all already we're already in Korea, so I thought I'd
yes.
quick stop.
Wait, hey, did you get around to seeing The Wailing in the end then?
Okay, I have not seen The Wailing.
Oh man, I think you'd really like The Wailing.
Yeah, I have it on DVD because Netflix took it down.
Oh, did they?
It's because Shudder bought it from them. Actually,
It's
Shudder.
Wow.
it is a movie that I don't know how you feel about this, Jude, but it is a movie that I thought it really helped me when after I watched it, I did some looking up into the historical context.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes happens with a movie.
Yeah.
I forget which one I saw. It was set around like right after World War One, and they were the way they were speaking about things. Obviously, because if you know about what the events that are going on, you don't need that that context. It would feel like they're over explaining things. But for me, I was like, I'm a little lost. That actually happened the first time I watched Casablanca too.
I see.
Okay.
I
was
see.
like, I don't think I get everything that's happening in this movie.
Yeah, no, but that's cool that you brought that up, and you should definitely check it out. I think you'd like it.
I might double feature it with Handmaiden tonight.
Oh man, that's a long double feature.
Yeah, no,
good
it
luck
really
with that one,
is.
Brian.
Yeah, I saw The Devil in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss my 80-minute movies. Speaking of which, I'll actually take that segue. This is a film that Jude put me on.
Oh, I thought you'd pick this one.
It's an 80-minute movie. It is
So good.
tense to all end. And I think surprisingly, I don't know where Jude has things ranked. I just mean if we're coming down to like settling tiebreakers and everything, this is one that I would at least think about in best thriller of the decade. It's The Guilty. Yeah, but I'll let Jude talk about it because he's the one that recommended it to me.
I mean, I don't have tons to say, but yeah, I think this is definitely out there the best thrillers of the decade. Like, it's so unique. Like, I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, Theo, but basically the whole film takes place in a police call operator center thing.
Very cool. Okay.
And essentially all of the action, all the drama, and everything that's thrilling in the film is through audio. You don't see anything. The only thing you see in the film is the main guy's face, like through the whole thing as he's sort of sweating and really, getting through this really intense situation. And it works so well. Like, it's so unique in that sense. It made me engrossed in a situation like no other thriller film has. And it's just, it's so good. It's just so engrossing. And just by the end of it, it just completely wowed me. I loved it so much, The Guilty.
Also, it's free on Hulu, just for people that have that, in the US at least.
That's
definitely check it out.
That's very
it's on
interesting.
Netflix in the UK as well. Yeah.
I've actually never seen that, but that's on my radar now, so I'm glad you brought that up. And that is very interesting because you're right. That's such a fascinating premise for a thriller. It reminds me of two. I'm sure you're familiar with this, but of Buried and of Locke.
Locke.
Yes, So if I can quickly mention about Locke, my friends love Locke. For whatever reason, I didn't get fully invested in it.
I hated Locke.
Yeah, really.
I detest it.
And midway through like Locke, I was like, I really like this idea. I don't love the execution.
Yeah.
And then when Jude was telling me about The Guilty, I was like, oh, well, that's similar to this that I watched. But yeah, I haven't seen the Buried one, but I've heard some people bring it up.
No worries. I just watched it a while ago, but I enjoy it. I don't think it's particularly amazing. Some people talk about Gravity, just Sandra Bullock gasping for like 2 hours or however long it is. And Buried is basically just it's just Ryan Reynolds buried.
Oh, the Ryan Reynolds one. Yeah. Oh, no, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
I've
basically
seen it like a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay. I like it.
I've seen it like the poster of it or like at Family Video.
Okay, totally.
I just walked by it.
And so I was just relating that to what you were saying about The Guilty, where it's very gimmick. I like movies with gimmicks. And so I would love to see The Guilty based on what you were talking about, because even though I wasn't over the moon about the other two, the fact that you're bringing this up and that it's a very interesting premise for a thriller where quote unquote like nothing happens, it's just in one room, it's on one person's face, that's very cool.
Definitely.
I'm gonna move to a couple of the more popular ones that we need to talk about, so that way people aren't too on our case.
Oh, sorry.
30 minutes. No, you're fine. No, I'm sure they're like, okay, well, I have a bunch of watch list stuff, but when are you guys gonna talk about movies I know?
When are you gonna talk about Gone Girl?
Yeah, well, that's the one I was actually gonna go with.
I know.
Gone Girl. Are you also on the popular list on Letterboxd? No, Gone Girl is a David Fincher film from 2014. It is spectacular, especially in the sense of being a thriller. Really keeps you on the edge of your seat. The plot as it develops is really great, and Rosamund Pike's fantastic. But Jude, what do you feel on Gone Girl?
I really like Gone Girl. Like, I'm not its hugest fan, but I just completely get why people get obsessed with this, because like everything about it is just so like David Fincher's direction is so elegant, but it's really dark at the same time. Like the way it explores the psychology of the main characters is so good. Rosamund Pike is just godlike. It's so good. Yeah, Gone Girl. I'll let someone else take the lead on Gone Girl though.
Yeah, have
But
you
yeah,
seen
it's a
it?
good film.
Yeah, I actually have seen it. Some say I'm still watching it right now. Just kidding. It's just the last 2 minutes. I was trying to cram this in
Oh,
for your thriller
it's
discussion.
okay.
But so what happened is I watched the first 2 hours last night, and I just was totally I just needed to sleep, and so I finished it. But anyways, you can edit out as much of this as you want. But anyways, I would like to hear your thoughts because I was talking to this a little bit with Jude before you were
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, this was an interesting point.
Well, okay. So when I saw Gone Girl, I know a couple people at this point in time, especially if you're in the movie knowledge. It's one of those things that can be easily spoiled for you. If you don't know anything about Gone Girl, literally just watch it. Like that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
It's one of those
It's
that
good.
I tell people, like if I hand you a DVD and I say, hey, see me in 2 hours once you finish this. Like I think it does warrant that, similar to even things like Fight Club. Because I literally went into it thinking like, oh hey, it's just about a girl that's gone, and Ben Affleck's gonna be sad, and maybe it'll be good. Which is, there's a lot that goes on here, and even actors that like aren't particularly great all the time, like Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry gives a great
He's
performance. Neil
definitely.
Patrick Harris is creepy.
I'm sorry, Neil Patrick Harris is what again?
Creepy, like very
Okay.
gross. And there's not much else I can say without getting into like super spoilers. But yeah, it's one of those that like I keep thinking about, and for whatever reason, like I think the issue with Gone Girl that's going to happen to a couple other films, because in context of this, we're trying to find the 64 best films of the decade.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah, and I think Gone Girl is one of those, but the problem is a lot of us have films that we're like, okay, well, this is my favorite film, and Gone Girl is everybody's favorite film. So like Gone Girl isn't one that people, readily think of as bringing up in the 64.
Right.
For instance, if like, because we do something at the end where the 10 hosts that have been on the most, they get one pick or one movie to automatically put into the tourney. So I don't think Gone Girl would be brought up in that same sense, because everyone's like, oh yeah, Gone Girl's great, but it's not my favorite. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So when you bring it up, I believe, interesting. So when you're bringing that up, and do you feel like, how do you feel about that? Because I'm curious if like it seems like both of you are quite positive, like quite positive on it.
I wanted to make the tourney.
Okay, you wanted to make the tourney. Okay. Do you? So you feel like it's
Theo, I'm also a hypocrite, and I am one of the people that wouldn't bring up Gone Girl with my one safety pick.
Okay.
You like to think that other people's opinions of films doesn't affect your opinion of something.
Yes.
But the thing is with Gone Girl is that so many people absolutely love it, like love it to pieces, that I'm very happy to sort of step back a bit when it comes to the Gone Girl love and let other people take over.
Right.
Because I do really, really like Gone Girl, but like you look at all the 5 stars for it on Letterboxd, it's like, oh my god, maybe I don't like it as much as most people, which isn't necessarily true.
Right.
Yeah,
Dude, just for reference, what did you give Gone Girl?
I gave it 4 stars.
Okay, no, I gave it the same rating as you. I'm in a very similar camp.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'm quite glad I had you take the lead on Gone Girl, because while you were talking, I finally finished it. And this is no disrespect. I really am. I'm just being transparent.
Have you on my show? You watch a movie while we're talking.
I mean, it's efficient.
No, I like that.
No, I only started playing it when we were talking about it. I didn't want to be distracted for the other ones. But
no, you're fine.
I was just thinking that's actually where I'm settling right now. Where you brought up 4 stars, because in the beginning I was feeling like, oh, this is very cool. I'm enjoying this. I don't of course I need to see the whole thing. In the beginning, I'm not particularly floored by it, and I think the way it gets to the end, I actually really I see what you guys mean. Now I think I'd give it a very strong 4 is what I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. A lot of people in here are I think Lindsay really likes. That's why I wanted Lindsay on, because that's one of the ones
Yes.
like I would want to be brought up as like someone's favorite. I know it is like you brings that up, and so many people love it. And the problem with like having so many hosts is there's going to be holes eventually, where it's like I can't remember. There's one episode we did. It might have even been horror like last week when we were doing it. There's going to be holes that we let, like no one really, we talked about Jordan Peele for a little bit, but no one really discussed Get Out like in that much depth.
See. Interesting.
Because there's a bunch of people that like that. Yeah. It just happens. Like that's.
Oh, sorry. I think you cut out the very end, but something I was talking to with Jude was, it's a bit of a stretch, but
It's not a stretch at all.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I while watching the end of Gone Girl, I was really reminded of Phantom Thread, and I don't know how much I want to say more because I don't want to spoil people. But to me, those two movies are thematically very similar.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that. Hey,
I don't know if I'd go that far because I consider Phantom Thread a rom-com.
Oh,
interesting. Well, okay. I'm looking at it from the relationship aspect, I suppose.
No, I know.
Okay, that's hilarious.
I think they go about that approach in two very different ways.
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
so that's why I wouldn't.
Okay, no, I just thought it was an interesting.
That would be a fun double feature, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And so that's the only thing I want to bring up with Gone Girl, where I think one other thing, my last thing I really enjoyed about it is, and it's not necessarily anything new, but I just always enjoy a movie that kind of dissects sort of media, and how that plays into truth.
Oh, can we take that? Can we take that little segue zoom into talking about Nightcrawler?
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh my god.
Because this is one I wanted to bring up. This is one I get the hype. I don't think I'm in like the camp that's like, oh, Nightcrawler, like one of the best films ever. But I think just if we're talking about the performance from Jake Gyllenhaal, because Dan Gilroy has not done much since.
I've seen his other two works, and I can't say I'm in love with them.
And that's what I told people like after Nightcrawler, because there were a couple of my friends that were like, ooh, you gotta see what this Dan Gilroy is gonna do next. And I said, I don't know if he's a great director. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is just that good. Like,
yeah.
And the thing is, he can only be that good so much because he's in Velvet Buzzsaw, and we haven't even watched it because.
Well, so that's the thing is we should definitely. Sorry, I don't mean to distract, but I just always joke that it's like, oh hey, did you hear Dan Gilroy is making another movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Reen Russo, and it kind of sucks. And it's just like, wow, where did that Nightcrawler spark go?
Yeah,
but my scapegoat for Velvet Buzzsaw is it's a Netflix movie. That's my scapegoat. Dan Gilroy has one more disappointment, and then I'm gonna drop him forever. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jude, continue.
Well, that's the thing with Nightcrawler is that I watched it quite a few years ago before I was really, really into film, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and for a while I considered it one of my favorite films. And I haven't watched it since I watched it for the first time, which is the problem because since then I saw Velvet Buzzsaw, and then Blake was talking about how Nightcrawler is really overrated, and it's the seeds of doubt that are in my mind now. I still have it rated as a 5 on Letterboxd. But so seeds of doubt, it was Nightcrawler that good? Was the direction really that good? Was Jake Gyllenhaal even that good? So I have 5 stars, but I don't even have it on my notes because I can't talk about Nightcrawler because I need to watch it again.
Okay,
it's been so long.
I'd agree with you. That's one of the films I have like in the back of my mind where it's like, hey, if this is gonna make the tourney, like you have to give it a rewatch because literally. Similar to what you're saying, like I saw Nightcrawler. I think I saw Nightcrawler in the theater or like right when it came out on DVD. I forget which one. Right. But I know like since then I've watched like over 1,000 movies and have seen a bunch of thrillers that do very similar things. So it might just be one of those cases where it comes down to being your first exposure to this. And I think in that case, like Nightcrawler is a great first entry into like that type of thriller. I'd still have it.
Absolutely,
This is in my camp of like one of the best for the decade. Another one that actually is already in the tourney, just so Theo knows.
Okay.
Prisoners already made the tourney, but I would consider it one of the best thrillers of the decade. Again,
Yeah,
with
it's definitely up
Gyllenhaal, yeah, and Hugh Jackman. Fantastic film. But a film that's not in the tourney. I actually forget if Jude likes this or not. I really like it though. I need to rewatch it. But Enemy by Denis Villeneuve also.
Oh
With
gosh, I thought you were going to go
Gyllenhaal.
a completely different direction then.
Oh no. Really interesting film, fascinating performance. It's one of the films where I don't really know what happens, and I feel like I don't really need to know.
Yes.
A lot of people have watched like the Stuckman videos and like, ooh,
Guilty.
what happened? Like, yeah, Enemy explained to you, and it's like I don't think
Yeah.
that's what the film. Like Denis Villeneuve didn't say yes. The intentions of my film was so you watch a 20-minute Stuckman video, and like
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a great video. I'm not demeaning Stuckman. I just mean
Oh, it is
like,
a great vid.
yeah, I'm sure. I just mean like I think it's for you to like interpret and have like a definitive conclusion, and then you seek out other people's. I just hate when people see someone's video and then they're like, "Oh, hey, this is how the ending." Like now I believe this, and it's like, well,
Right.
I'm too much of a dummy for Enemy though. I'd have to watch it 100 times before I like got something out of it.
then do it.
Yeah, for cinema.
That's very interesting. Is this like, are we discussing this like as a thriller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say this is another interesting movie where I find the filmic choices made for it so fascinating as a thriller because, well, first of all, I thought I had pirated the wrong copy of it when you first start playing it. Because it's just like, whoa, is this the HDR version or is
It's
this
very
the
yellow,
3D?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's just a bio yellow. That's all right. We're gonna go with this. And then the other aspect of it is a lot of the music I find very, I don't know a better way to say this, but it's not very suspenseful. It's almost more of like music, the score you would find on like a kind of like a TV drama or something like that.
Interesting.
Oh no, not necessarily bad. So I actually don't think that's bad. I think
Okay.
that creates a big sense of dissonance as to what's happening.
Okay.
And so I would actually like, that's how I feel about and I'm gonna relate this back to anime, but that's how I feel about Nightcrawler. Is when Lou Bloom has his long spiels where I don't want to go too deep into it, but where you're just like, whoa, the music is very uplifting and sounds like it should be on some like family drama movie where like strings start playing. And I find that to be a very interesting choice in Enemy as well, where should we talk about the basic premise of Enemy at all or no? I just want to make sure.
If you want to, yeah, you can.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like if you would consider that a spoiler.
Oh, Jude, what do you think?
No.
Okay,
no, go
fine.
for it.
Okay, if it's okay, I'm always very, for some reason, doubles freak me out. Like I find movies that have doubles like scarier than almost all horror.
Oh wow.
And so Enemy and Under the Skin were two movies that may not necessarily be horror, but I had an extremely tough time watching. And when I went back from the theaters from them, I like needed someone to walk me home because I just felt so unsafe.
That's really
Jeez.
And then I know that's extreme and just very like, oh, everyone has their own thing they're terrified of.
Yeah.
But like to me, that's why I think Enemy is so funny as a thriller, where it has all these weirdly non-thriller choices in the film, and yet still like instills this like sense of I will be subsumed, I will be replaced. Do I exist anymore? And in many ways, I sort of think that is awesome that a thriller makes me feel that way.
Yeah. Man.
So that's the. Oh, sorry. Keep going. I was just gonna
say to round out the Gyllenhaal quartet. I have Nocturnal Animals. Have either of y'all seen that?
Ooh, yeah.
I haven't, but go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say. This is from Tom Ford. A really interesting departure from. I think it's a Simple Man or not a Simple Man.
No, I think
a Single Man.
Single Man. Correct. Yeah.
Really, really interesting movie. However, I actually have a funny story attached to this film. For those that don't know, it opens up with sort of bigger set women naked, very naked. And I remember taking my group of friends with me to the movie, and I was like, "Oh, hey, we got to see this movie. We got to see this movie." And they were like, "Is this gonna be one of those artsy fartsy movies?" And I was like, "No, like it's like an action like thriller, Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams." And then it
Oh, that's
opens
so
up with
funny.
that, and I was like, "Oh no."
That's so funny.
But yeah, I think this movie's great. Really tense.
I was just gonna say I really agree with you. I was very taken by it's a very sensual movie, which I really thought I appreciated, and I know a lot of people talk about that one scene, the driving scene, and I just want to plug that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, I would just that to me, I think it definitely deserves to be talked about, and I think that definitely conveyed what a thriller should, almost better than some other thriller movies I've seen.
It had me that was the first instance where it was like, oh my god, this movie knows how to catch your attention and command it. And the only thing I was gonna say that keeps Nocturnal Animals from being like because I have it at an 8 out of 10. I really, really love. So Jude, you probably don't know about this, but there's actually 3 stories that are going on in the film. And I think the problem here is one story is so incredible, it almost takes away from the other 2.
I would like to hear what that one is.
It's the manuscript story.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't mind. I don't mind when they go back to her in modern day real time, and when they go back to the past of them being together. I think something needs to be reworked with it. And I'm saying this nitpicking because I still loved it. I'm just saying it. Like I watched that movie and I was like, ooh, like this. It's one of the few movies that like I'm not saying I could like because I know nothing about filmmaking, so I'm not saying like, "Ooh, I could make Nocturnal Animals better." I just mean if I was on set with Tom Ford, maybe I could throw him some things and be like, "Hey, let's rework this."
That makes a lot of sense, and I feel similarly. Where I actually also have it at a 4, at like a very high 4, and I start to think. I personally am a big fan of like worlds within film, and so I think it's I'm so deep, so it's like ooh nice, but it's like so there's like a story going on in the story, and then there's the past, and
what Theo, have you this is completely off topic.
Oh, totally, no
worries. But have you seen Big Fish?
Oh no,
that's why I love Big Fish.
I'm actually I know nothing about that movie, actually.
Okay, never mind.
Just that it exists, but that's on my radar now. But yeah, I was
too many things on his radar. We're filling his plate too much.
No, I got like 10 tabs now, so this is good.
Okay, great.
But yeah, Nocturnal Animals is again, it's another thriller that I think it kind of blurs the line between like drama or thriller, and of course all dramas are all blurred. Sure. But that one in particular, I thought was very like, I'm not even sure I could call it thriller. But what's interesting is the thrilling parts, quote unquote, almost take place in this like not real world. So I just thought that was very cool in that what's actually happening in the movie is not thrilling at all. But what's
for sure
written about in this world is very thrilling.
Again, I think maybe on a rewatch it might be interesting. Like you said with Burning, if that's a good like I think with the right word, but if that's a good tandem to almost stick to like the mundane of like Amy Adams' life in like the real world at the moment.
Yes.
I certainly to the other students. So I might pick up on that more on a rewatch. Very interested.
No worries.
I'm gonna throw out a film,
totally,
and I'll let you guys throw out ones that you think I've left off. But what about Black Swan?
Yeah,
you guys talk about this.
Okay, me and Theo actually talked about this for a little bit. I do think it's a little weird that Darren Aronofsky isn't coming out fully and being like, "Hey, this is very much Perfect Bluey." With that said, for all the people that saw Black Swan before Perfect Blue, completely understand why you guys love it. It's a like really, really well crafted film. Really tense. Natalie Portman gives a spectacular performance. It has a lot to say about the psyche of ballerinas and just being a performer in front of so many people, and what that does, what that sport does to your body over and over, and you just having to like still put on this pretty show. But yeah, no, I love Black Swan. It actually was very close to winning our. I think it would have been my pick for best picture in the 2010s, or it was up there. I think I actually went with the King's Speech because I'm a normie.
Damn, dude.
But Jude,
we gotta do a coup.
I like the King's Speech.
I actually really enjoy it. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's
just cool to hate on.
A lot of people really hate on it, and so to be fair, we're gonna go back to Black Swan. I swear to God.
Yeah.
But when I was like 15, I saw it on a plane, and I'd not seen movies, and of course it's horrible to see movies on a plane. Which that one's probably fine, but I realized they edit movies to cut out like anything controversial, so it's not good to see like more violent movies than that. But I just saw it and I was like, whoa, I like drama? Question mark. But yeah, going back to Black Swan, I think that is very interesting because I really like what you mentioned. It's actually been, it must be at least 5 years since I've seen it, or whenever it came out. It must be at least 5 years. It came out like 2010, right? Is that what you said?
2010.
2010. Okay, yeah, it's been a very long time, and so I need to rewatch that. I think it's funny that you bring up the double of Perfect Blue and Black Swan, because, yeah, without going too deep into it, I had seen Inland Empire, and then I saw Perfect Blue, and I was like, oh, why are these two talked about more together? But I don't know if you guys have seen Inland Empire.
Have not.
Okay.
No.
It's wild. That's all I'll say. It's like if you ever plan on watching however many Lynch movies you plan on watching in your life, watch Inland Empire last. That's how I feel about it.
Really?
I was not ready. I was like, oh, I saw Mulholland Drive. I saw the pilot of Twin Peaks. I should be ready for his craziest
I
work.
can handle this. Yeah.
And then I was like, anyways, I don't want to talk too much about it. But it's interesting because Black Swan, to me, I had a hard time. I had the hardest time labeling what genre it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, sorry, do you want to talk about that more, Jude?
No. I was just going to say, like, the one thing I was going to say about Black Swan is I find it hard almost to work out how it's a thriller. Like, I know it is a thriller and it sort of does fit it, but to me, it's sort of almost something different.
Sure.
But I'll let you go on anyway.
No, it's funny because I was right now. I'm watching a lot of Is it Giallo or Giallo? I'm sorry, Giallo, I think. And I was thinking, and so Knife Plus Heart is one of them, the Neo Giallos. And I was like, oh, like, the person who's organizing this thing is like, oh, I love these ones I've seen. Do you have any more recommendations? And what they said was, they gave a few recommendations. Said, while Black Swan isn't really a Neo Giallo, Darren Aronofsky has like said he's taken like influence from Giallo in Black Swan. Okay. And so like, I wouldn't call it that, but it would be interesting to rewatch that with that in mind. And so that's just why it was on my mind, where again, all these genres, thriller, mystery, crime, they all just like kind of blend together and are hard sometimes to really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we're not a big like genre police group here where it's
totally.
well, this clearly is a drama first.
Certainly.
You should listen to the horror podcast last week.
Yeah, no,
it was out in force.
Hot Buzz is a light drama. Sorry, keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, like, for whatever reason, like, drama is the weirdest category to me.
Oh goodness,
because it's like, oh well, like most good stories like inherently have drama in them, like
right.
But I'll actually throw to one that you guys, I think most of these we consider to be thrillers. I had one that I don't know what people consider it. Y'all consider Good Time a thriller or crime?
Whoa.
It's a crime thriller, I think, for me.
Okay, so it still counts, right?
Yeah.
Because I throw like that, and I actually think what's even more thrilling, I think Good Time's the better movie. The title's slipping me.
Compared to...
But the one with Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner.
Oh, goodness, I'm not familiar with this.
Please, guys.
No, I
Not all at
didn't know you
once.
I'm looking it up. 1 second.
You want me to Google
Oh,
it?
the
The
town.
town, the town.
The town. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I consider The Town a very tense and thrilling movie.
haven't even
I
heard of
think
it.
it has some of the best tension. I think overall as a film, the actual non-thriller parts do suffer a little bit, which is always interesting to like talk about. In that same
In
regard,
good
like I
time, you
count
mean.
Hell or High Water as a thriller.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yep. Totally. I
Like
agree
a
with you.
crime. I think that one's very clearly like more crime based, whereas Good
Okay.
Time
Mhm.
definitely has more thrilling moments.
Okay, that's interesting
Feel,
because
feel free to go off the.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, to me, oh my, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring it back to Good Time, but I am very like
Fine.
Pop Tart is a sandwich in terms of like genres, in the sense that
No, it is not.
in a sense that like to me everything is a drama. Like I would love to see a movie that isn't a. I mean, I'm sure I have, but
Yeah.
you know, like 99%. And so like that's my just because I have like 40 terabytes of hard drive stuff, and I've had to like organize them by year and genre to keep me sane. And so I've like spent a lot of time delivering this, and I almost think like crime and thriller are like more specific areas, and when something doesn't necessarily fall in them, then you can pull it back to like drama or comedy or whatever you want to devise. And so like to me, I would agree with you. I think Good Time is both a crime and a thriller because like I mean it's literally a crime movie. You can't say it's not. But like a crime movie can be like Mickey and Nikki or Mikey and Nikki, you know, where I don't know if I'd call it thrilling, and it's almost more of a drama, but it's undisputably a crime movie. But the funniest thing about Good Time, which I love Good Time so much, I'm so excited for Uncut Gems, is I don't know how familiar you guys are with with like tabletop games, but to me, Good
yes.
Time
Where's this going?
Good Time feels like a movie that's made in like in like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign or any of the other
Sure.
tabletop
Oh my
settings,
god.
where your players are just like not good people, and they just like it's just like improving things, because that's how I felt about the characters in Good Time, where
Completely agree.
it feels like a D&D session where everything goes wrong because you're trying to fix something, but it's just a wacky ride, and you're like, oh my god, I had so many notes prepped, and you guys are just going all over the fucking place with this. And so I love Good Time, and that's I always like my joke is that it feels like a D&D session gone wrong.
I remember
is
I'm
super
looking up my
interesting.
Nintendo account right now to try to find it. But there's a game that I know it's not Hotline Miami. It's it might be.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Well, like it reminds me of like the way that movie is structured is very similar to like an open world, almost Grand Theft Auto in some ways.
Definitely.
Which is because I think that's the same way. Not just Island, the other one. Dude, who's the other creator of Rick and Morty?
Oh,
Justin
God.
Roiland or the other person?
The other person, Dan Harmon. That's how Dan Harmon like approaches storytelling in a very video gamey way, where it works really well to the point where because he is very familiar. He does a Dungeons and Dragons podcast where like him and his friends come up with all these things. I think he narrates a lot of it with his buddies, and then they animate it afterwards. So it's interesting to
that's
see
awesome.
that type of storytelling, like you're saying, because I'm sure tons of these kids that go on to be filmmakers, you know, have played like D&D or some type of variant like before
Totally.
getting into this
Hmm.
stuff. I don't know if
I
that's
think
the
that's a good thing.
sappiest, but
I think that's a good thing you bring up. Where like Good Time to me feels like somebody took a green text from the D&D 4chan boards and like made it a movie, you know? Like, but I love that movie. You
Wow.
guys should talk about it more if you want to. That's just what I wanted to bring up.
I don't have much else. Jude, do you?
No, not really. I'm good with Good Time.
Okay, I was gonna move on to one that I tried to bring up that's similar to Good Time actually. Drive, crime-based thriller. And I mentioned to Theo before. Me and Jude are actually Jude's not big on this, but I know a lot of people love Drive. It's one of those like film Twitter movies that people like collected around very early.
Yeah,
Um,
so were you gonna expound on that or?
just gonna say, I really like Drive. I can see some of it. I don't get how people are like, "Whoa, this is like one of the best films ever." Um, because
Okay, definitely, yeah.
I think I gave it an 8.
Okay,
But yeah,
yeah,
Theo,
yeah.
go on.
I was just gonna say I haven't. That's one I need to rewatch. Because I watched it when I was like a high schooler and going like, "Oh, Drive, Inglorious Bastards, Fight Club, V for Vendetta," and which
Yeah.
are great movies, which are all like good movies. I love a lot of them. But so my take on Drive is it's good. It's no Only God Forgives. Okay, but like actually, I really so I love Only God Forgives.
I've only seen the first 20 minutes. The problem is I don't think I've mentioned this to you, Theo. If Rain comes on, like in a movie, I fall asleep like
what?
instantly.
I mean,
So
I
there's
get
a-
that. Yeah,
yeah,
I understand.
There's a
Wow.
scene with Rain very early on, and I just knock out
Okay,
every time. And I wake up
interesting.
to like the opening screen of Only God Forgives on my TV, disappointed every time.
No, that was a
Okay.
great short film.
So
Yeah.
so that's the thing is that's mostly a joke. I'm just someone who loves Only God Forgives, and later after I watched it, I was surprised at how much like people weren't hot on it, although I totally understand why. And Drive to me is a movie that I think is really good. It's really, really good. In my eyes, I'd probably give it a 4 right now. But I definitely agree with you where it can feel similar to like Gone Girl, for example, where it may not necessarily be like, oh, I need to pick a movie. What's my favorite of something? Like I think
Yeah.
you don't necessarily want to pick Drive for like contextual reasons.
Sure.
But I also think of it as like a great entry point. I That's how I got into Refn's movies, and I don't know. I think it's really good at creating a world, and it has really phenomenal like set design and lighting, and so I was really pulled into that. And I think it's very funny because I watched it after it came out, where a lot of people were saying, "Oh, that was boring. I thought it'd be like an action movie, or like they never drive," you know.
They never drive.
No, totally, and
The
it's
Fast
funny.
and Furious crowd.
I
Where was Ben Diesel?
yes. Exactly. And it's also funny because like while I make fun of that, I also came into it after playing Hotline Miami and hearing that Hotline Miami was influenced by Drive. So it was like, oh, sick ass. Like, great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch Hotline Miami the movie. And it was not bad at all, which I'm fine with. But I think Drive to me, it's like a mood piece almost, is how I feel about it. So like as a thriller, I think it's very interesting because it's very slow, even a lot of the thrillers we're talking about, they're not fast, but I think Drive is very, very slow. And
Vroom.
oh, do you think so? I'm sorry. Do you not think
I was
so?
saying vroom vroom. It's funny that a movie called Drive is slow. I was just joking. I'm sorry.
Totally. I would actually like to hear what your thoughts are, Jude, because it's one I haven't seen in many years, so I really don't know what to think.
Well, I like yeah. Well, no, this is one of my 3 out of 5s. So I like it to an extent. I think it's made really well, and I think there are some really great moments in it. But like between that, I just don't pick up on the atmosphere or the tone of it. I feel it feels empty to me in between, and there are certain bits of it that just don't work for me. Like I brought this up before, but the whole thing with Carey Mulligan just does not work for me at all. I think it's not very well done. Like it's pretty, but then there's nothing underneath for me. Like if you go back to something like Burning, which has that atmosphere like throughout and it pervades the whole film, I just don't sense that in Drive.
Okay, totally, yeah.
Yeah, I'm worried if I rewatch it, I'll have similar sentiments to Jude.
Yeah.
I'll probably pick it up before the end of the year, though.
Bronson by Nicholas Winding Refn has a great atmosphere to it, so he can do it. But it didn't shine through for me in Drive.
So that's very.
I think if he would have gotten this similar things with that thrillingness in Bronson for Drive, I think if you combine all his works, there's a masterful film there.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super funny because if you combine all his films sans Neon Demon, that totally makes sense. And I'd love to see how Neon Demon like would work in conjunction with all his other movies. You know? Because that's sorry, keep going.
But I have the same complaints with the atmosphere for Neon Demon as well. But the thing I like about Neon Demon is actually like the themes of it and the message of it. I think is really interesting, which I don't get in Drive. So I think you could, if you take the themes and messages of Neon Demon, then maybe you have something.
That makes a lot of sense.
And Alfani, just get Alfani to lead it.
I'm gonna bring up a couple others.
Yeah, go for it.
Just real quick, The Skin I Live In. Have either of y'all seen this?
I've not seen it.
I know I need to see it. I unfortunately have not.
Okay, I think I'm alone on this one. Turtle would really want me to bring this up. Nearly actually made our tourney. From what Turtle was telling me, a separation nearly beat it out.
Oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah, Antonio Banderas and Pedro Almodovar, Almodovar.
Almodovar, something like that.
How did I mess up? I normally say it perfect. Anyway, Antonio Banderas is absolutely very creepy. Maybe one of the creepiest actors on here.
Really? Wow.
It's it's a very weird movie. I actually watched it because I used to do when I had more time and was able to watch movies all the time. I watched 31 movies in October. And I was watching, all these horror movies, and someone was like, "Hey, watch The Skin I Live In. It's pretty scary." And I'm thinking, like, it's just a thriller. And then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh no, this might be the most scary movie I watched out of all of these." But yeah, I was just gonna mention that one real quick. Have you guys seen We Need to Talk About Kevin?
No, I need to see that one. You should talk about it. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd count it as a thriller necessarily. It definitely has a lot of thrilling moments. But I think it at least needs to be like brought up. Tilda Swinton's fantastic, and Lynn Ramsey, of course, our queen. But one of her films is actually already on the tourney. You Were Never Really Here, which is a thriller. But again, I won't expand on that one too much because it's already on the tourney. And then I was going to throw to Jude on this one because I know he liked it. You're good. Sorry.
Which one?
I was going to throw to Jude on this one because I know he likes it a ton more than me. Blue Ruin.
Blue Ruin, yeah. Man, I hadn't even thought about that one, but yeah, but Blue Ruin is really, really good. Macon Blair in that is so good. The thing about Blue Ruin that's interesting is that like it's actually quite an emotional film, and like the characters are really, really well written, which you don't always expect for a thriller. But yeah, it's there and it's really interesting, and it's also like really brutal and atmospheric as well. So yeah, I really like Blue Ruin.
And then I was going to talk about Under the Skin, a film I don't necessarily love, but I know there's tons of people that like would put it very high. I think it's actually you love it.
I love Under the Skin, and I love it like the more I think about it. But I don't think if I'd class it as a thriller. That's the thing.
Really?
Like, no, I don't see it. I don't see how it's a thriller. But someone else can prove me wrong, I guess.
Well, I mean, on Letterboxd it's listed drama, sci-fi, and then thriller.
Yeah. I just take it as a sci-fi. I
just mean the moments that where certain things are happening. I find very thrilling. The way Scarlett Johansson like goes about, but there is a lot of meandering in between. So you're right; it might not be considered a bona fide thriller.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm very confused because I clicked on Macon Blair, and I have all these tabs of thriller movies I need to talk about, but I accidentally clicked on The Florida Project, and I was like, "Wait, is that a thriller?" And then I was like, "No."
Oh man.
Yeah, Theo, continue.
I was just gonna say, like, I've always thought of it as a sci-fi movie, and of course, it's one of those secondary labels where it's kind of like, oh, it's a crime, it's a western, it's a sci-fi. It's just something you put as to like more specify what it is, and so I could definitely
had the same problem last week bringing up Annihilation. I was like, there are some very horrific moments in Annihilation.
Yeah.
But obviously it's sci-fi first, so I can understand those sentiments.
I definitely think Under the Skin. I think that's fascinating. Did people like bring that up as a thriller? Because to me, it's almost like a sci-fi dark, or I guess like a dark drama is how I feel about it.
You heard Theo and Jude. Get out of here.
I don't know. I love the movie, but
Yeah.
No, I'll bring up one that's for sure a thriller. This is the last one before we get to the actual voting that I have. Then I'll let
Okay,
you guys
totally.
bring up
I've got a
whichever
few.
ones you'd like. But Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Ooh,
Oh,
fascinating.
really?
Yeah.
You think
don't
that's a
Definitely a
thriller?
thriller. I
I
don't
think
know.
it's
I watched it a
very
while
much a
ago, but
thriller.
nothing jumps out to me as very thrillery about it.
So
I think Barry Cohen or whatever his name is. I think
Yes.
he is the thrilling part of the film.
I-
Usually
Yeah.
Yorgos has not worked for me.
Okay,
In this
yeah.
film, I was like on the edge of my seat, being like, "Yo, what is going on in this movie?" There's very like the high angle shots where like the whole like there's just a lot in it, a lot of space. Just makes it feel even more like it makes it feel empty, but it also feels like anything could happen. And there's just a
Yes.
lot of very weird scenes. So maybe that's why I thought it was thrilling, because it's not something I've seen recently. But Yorgos
No.
is a very weird director, because I don't think his films can be classified genre-wise. Like I know
Yeah.
some people were like, "Oh yeah, The Favorite's a period piece," and it's like, well, yeah, but no,
It's almost like reductive to label it as such.
yeah.
I think that's fascinating because whereas I find Under the Skin to be, and this isn't hard and fast, of course, but I find the Under the Skin to be almost optimistic and kind of positive, which aren't necessarily like things you connotate with thrillers. I found The Killing of a Sacred Deer to be like very malicious or malicious,
Right.
and like if you like in its world, it almost feels like words have power, and like under that mindset, I can definitely see it as a thriller, because once that kind of connected, I was also on the edge of my seat about just the dialogue. So I really
Interesting.
enjoyed The Killing of a Sacred Deer, but I agree with you, it's very hard to classify. I think of it as a very dark drama first and foremost, but if someone wants to call it a thriller, I don't think I could argue with that.
I was going to ask
Okay.
in a similar vein. Wait, Jude, do you consider this a thriller or no?
I wouldn't, but that's the thing. I saw it quite a while ago, so I might just be completely forgetting what it's about. But yeah, I think that was the first Yorgos film I watched, and I think it might be valuable to actually go back and rewatch it now, because I've seen Dogtooth, which I liked. I saw The Favourite, obviously, which I really liked, and The Lobster I consider one of my favourite films. So like,
Oh, cool.
I think
Okay.
Killing of a Sacred Deer is definitely one that I need to go back to at some point.
I think your first Yorgos can actually be very like a rough experience.
Yeah.
Because I actually this is the reason I brought up, when I said taking my friends to see Nocturnal Animals, they're like, wait, hold up, is this that one of the weird artsy fartsy films? I took my friends to see The Lobster.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
We were the only ones in the theater. Didn't really know it was a comedy or if it was a drama, like what was going. It was a very weird experience to share with 8 other guys. And they walked out of it. They were like, "That's the worst movie ever." And I was like, "Well,
Wow.
like I didn't particularly love it, but I think you're being a little bit too harsh." And most of my friends have said, "Yeah, some of them, but like my friend Josh had said, "Oh yeah, I want to give The Lobster a fair shake, like by myself."
Yeah,
But
that's what I had, which I think helped a lot.
Yeah. I was
Actually,
gonna ask. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Very, very funny quick story is so until The Favorite came out in theaters, I'd never seen a Yorgos. And so like at the same time, I was just like, oh, like I want to go watch a movie with my dad. I just want to do something nice with him. And like I was like, oh, let's play. Spider-Man, like Mary Poppins. And then I saw like, what is it called? Like Mary Queen of Scots, and then The Favorite. So I just thought it was one of those like, oh, 2 movies that released at the same time that are like similar, and like, oh, they look like period pieces. So like, and I saw that the Favorite had a very impeccable like rating online, and so I was like, oh great, I gotta take my dad to see this. Like he loves history, like and when we watched it, I was so it's so funny. My expectations were completely off the mark. And, like when we left the theater, I just like when it ended, I just sat there and I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, that's one of the best things I've ever seen," and I had no idea it'd be
Yeah.
like that. And my dad was like, "Next time, can we see a happier movie?"
Yeah, that
Yeah.
literally, that's why I brought up the period drama thing, because so many people, the crowd that I saw The Favorite with it actually was a pretty packed movie theater, but it was
Okay.
all like 60-plus-year-olds that
Yeah.
clearly wanted like a
Very
Dark
queer
Tower or King's Speech or those types of films, and I was like, oh no.
No, definitely. And so I was just thinking, like, I think Yorgos is, if you want to call it a thriller, I have nothing to argue because he is really hard to define. And I think I was very blessed that my first Yorgos was the one movie he didn't write the script for. So it was actually an easy transition into him because the rest of his movies I found to be more impenetrable than The Favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyways, yeah. Sorry, but you were gonna say something. Hey.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say the last one I was gonna bring up. I don't even know. I may have brought this up on the action episode. Do y'all consider Sicario a thriller?
Yes, that's what I
Okay,
was going to bring
cool.
up earlier
Oh,
when you were
Jude.
going on about prisoners.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies for me.
Yes.
It's one of my favorites of the decade. Like I love Sicario.
Oh, good.
I think it's I think it handles tension so well. Especially Benicio del Toro. Y'all know probably if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about specifically.
Definitely.
But just keeping you on your seat of leaving Emily Blunt's character sort of in the dark, having these two military like higher ups in Benicio del Toro and Brolin, not really giving all the information there to Kaluuya and Blunt, really makes for like this tense and suspenseful like thriller all the way through. Even though it's set in a very realistic world, it can still be very thrilling. But Jude, please go on if you'd like.
I mean, I think this tends to get like undervalued when people are ranking their favorite Denis Villeneuve films. I always tend to see Sicario quite low down for some reason, but I think it's one of his best. Like,
I completely agree with you. I have it super high up. Yeah.
Yeah, I just everything about it comes together. Like the cinematography, Robert Deakins, the performances, the score by Johan Johansson. Oh my god, so good! All the bois, I can't get enough of it. Yeah, I mean, and Emily Blunt is just so good in that film. Like her character just gets gradually destroyed almost by everything around her, and you see it on her face. Like, and the ending as well. It's so good. I just love everything about it, and it's just so intense and thoughtful as well. And yeah, I really love Sicario.
Sure, and you're mentioning up all the people around it. I'd like to throw out a quick shout out for my homeboy Taylor Sheridan.
Yes.
Yeah. Also did Wind River this year. I think it's a lesser film, especially because I think that was that was his first directing effort, and for a first directing effort, fantastic. But just with the fact he'd worked with Villeneuve and I believe David Mackenzie with Hell or High Water. It might not be Mackenzie. Yeah, no, it is Mackenzie.
It is Mackenzie.
Who are two very talented directors. And I think it shows like just how incredible like of source material he can create for someone like a Villeneuve and Mackenzie. So I just wanted to give him the credit. I'm probably going to do a video eventually on him. I keep saying that, and I have like 50 videos I need to make. But
yeah, I think it's really. I am glad you brought up Sicario because I think it does that type of. You're right. It's set in a very realistic world. I mean, it's set in the real world, and it's focused on a more macro scale, such that it is like more. Like you could say Nocturnal Animals or Nightcrawler takes place in the real world, but like Sicario feels like it takes place like here and now. And I think I just love movies that really throw you into the whole, like, there is so much going on with like globalization and like governments and like just like Emily. I love that they framed it around Emily Blunt and like what she knows or does not know. And I just remember leaving it feeling like I watched like somebody make a very high production conspiracy theory video that like won me over completely. And I was like, yeah, dude, like fuck the man, you know? Like,
directed by Alex Jones.
Yes. And the funniest thing about it is because I loved it so much, I watched I watched the sequel.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Do you want to talk about it real quick?
Well, full disclaimer, I'd never actually finished Sicario 2.
Okay.
But
Jude, I haven't either.
yeah. But I think it's an interesting film. Because wait, did Taylor Sheridan write the second one as well? Or was
Did
it
write
someone
the
else?
script, but they switched directors.
See, that's interesting because like there are elements in Sicario 2 that are also present in Sicario and make it really good. Like I still think it's quite oppressive and quite aggressive as well. Like it still has that tone, I think. But
Right.
the main thing with Sicario 2, I think it's really missing Emily Blunt.
Yes.
It's just got
Yes,
the
I
characters
completely
completely
agree.
wrong. And it's just so much more boring. Like I didn't mean to stop watching Sicario 2. It's just my laptop ran out of battery. I didn't realize it wasn't plugged in, and it turned off around the hour 20-minute mark. And I was like, I can't bother to turn it back on.
Yeah.
So I would have finished it, but because my laptop went off, I didn't.
I will
I just
tell
didn't get
you
around to
right now, it's probably better that you didn't because
it. Really?
when I finished
I've heard
it,
the third act isn't the best.
yes,
Oh, okay.
when I
interesting.
finished it, I was just like, oh, this is a movie that I would have loved if I had stopped watching it. And I thought, man, I love what I saw. I should really go back and watch it one day. But no.
Right.
Like whatever
Yeah.
you have in your head is better. And my funny
good.
story is like one of the titles for it is
Hmm.
it's like Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado.
Yeah.
If you translate it,
Yeah,
so
no, yeah.
it translates literally to Hitman 2, Day of the Soldier.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the most like Walmart generic brand name. Like any Latin American like viewer must
Yeah.
like read the title and be like, what the fuck is this title? This is
See,
horrible.
that's what happened. Because I'm actually gonna share the picture in our group chat real quick. Let me save it on my computer. Because when this first got announced, like I was like, what the heck? Like Day of the Soldado. That's such a weird title.
Right? Like
and
I'd rather just be like
I see-
fully
I
Deal
see
del
this
Soldado.
picture. If
you
y'all
know?
check,
Yeah,
if y'all
just
check
the
future
photo.
videos, I see this picture.
Oh my god.
Keep in mind, Brolin,
Holy shit.
Blunt, and Benicio del Toro are not attached, and I was like, "Oh no! Like this is gonna be
Yeah.
so bad. Like it's gonna be the worst like attempt to try." And I was thinking, I was like, "Did Sicario even make that much money?" Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're making a third one, I think.
Oh, they know they're
Alright.
not.
like,
Surely not.
Sure, I guess.
I think they were talking about making a third one. But anyways, yeah.
The second one made a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, like.
But yeah,
You did
Oh,
DM me
Sicario-
like 50 minutes ago.
Sicario to me is it's edged out by Blade Runner 2049, but I just have an affinity
Yes.
for it that I need to watch it again and actually think it past the like, whoa, cool colors,
Yeah.
space, sci-fi. But Sicario to me, I think is like, if you had to ask me, that's my favorite Villeneuve. I'm sorry, I never know how
Nice.
to pronounce his name. Yeah, so I'm glad that you guys brought it up.
No, you're good.
hmm Yeah.
Do you have any other thrillers you want to bring up before we get to our definitive pick?
I might just like do a whistle-stop tour through the things I've got on my notepad here, and you can interrupt me if you want to say more.
Sure.
I'll just go through a ton of movies. Searching, it's another gimmicky sort of
Whoa, yeah.
film.
I agree.
but
That when Theo was talking about when Theo was talking about gimmicks, that is
Yeah.
one where like literally it is just the gimmick, and that's why it's a good movie, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
My
yeah,
joke
no, yeah.
is unfriended walked, so that searching could run.
Exactly.
I was literally about to bring that up. Unfriended Dark Web is legitimately a good film, and if you like Searching, you will like Unfriended Dark Web.
No way! I've never seen that because I
Yeah.
was just like I watched Unfriended and I'm like that was fun. I don't need to see that again. But I'm glad you brought that
But I
up.
get
My friends roasted me because I was like, "Oh, Unfriended was kind of fun." Like,
Well, I haven't seen. Oh, you go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like it's not a good movie by any stretch, but I don't know. It's just like like it knows what it is. And I made fun of Countdown Hand Up. Like that movie might be. It knows what it is. I don't think it's going to be. But Unfriended Dark Web, surprisingly, because so many people said, "Oh, it's one of the worst movies ever," and then I watched it and I was like, "Oh, well, it's got some really redeemable qualities in it."
No, yeah, definitely. I mean,
I'm gonna
I
watch
haven't.
that now. Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't seen the first Unfriended, but I get the impression that one was quite goofy in a way.
Yes.
And although
Yeah.
Unfriended Dark Web has almost exactly the same format, it is very straight-faced. and it's really effective. It does actually have chilling moments, and it is like quite scary. I really like Umbrella Dark Web, but that's off topic. Wild Tales is another one that I really like. It's an Argentinian anthology film, so it's almost hard to classify as a thriller, but it does have stories that are thrilling within it, and it's just such a joy of a film, really worth watching. What else have I got? 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm surprised it hasn't been brought up at all.
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you for
Yeah,
getting that in here.
yeah. That's such a good claustrophobic film. Like it's almost like a stage play almost, but the characters in it are so good and the performances are as well.
Why? But for whatever reason, when I was looking through my list, I was like, "Yep, that's a sci-fi," and kept moving on. But I brought up Under the Skin.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's hardly any sci-fi in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Totally.
Even though it's marketed as sci-fi, but it's a little bit at the end, and that's it.
Well, from my understanding, that part wasn't even originally in.
No, J.J. Abrams was just like, "Hey guys, this is a Cloverfield film now. Let's go."
In.
I mean, same with Paradox, I guess, but there we go.
We won't talk about that one.
No. We did Blue Ruin. Green Room, I think, is better than Blue Ruin.
Green Room. When I watched it in theaters and I didn't know what to expect, and I think that like fucked me up for like a day.
Yeah, exactly. It fucks you up, that film. It's so like oppressive, but it's really brutal as well. So yeah, I really love Green Room. I think that I might even raise that when we watch it soon. Parasite. Do you see Parasite yet?
I'm glad you brought that up because when
you're talking about a film that hasn't come out yet.
It is out, I swear.
No, it's fine.
It is.
Just have to keep waiting, and everybody who's seen it online has been like,
"Oh my god, let me put my part away." Yeah.
To me, when you brought up The Handmaiden, I was like, oh, okay, so like I can talk about Parasite now. It's like how I felt about Parasite. But sorry, we don't need to keep talking more about it. But I'm glad you brought it up. It's the only thing I wanted to say because it is very thrilling.
Yes, and it's very wacky in a good way. And it just does everything so well. Thoroughbreds, I really like. It's a really funny, thrilling film. Olivia Cook in that is so good.
On Jude's list.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch this for a while. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, no, it's so funny.
Like it's the perfect like comedy version. It's okay. I don't want to say this in disrespect like the filmmaking for Thoroughbreds. If Killing of a Sacred Deer might be too weird for you, I think someone would really like Thoroughbreds because I think it's more of an accessible comedy version of like Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah,
very different movies, but I just mean in tone. There's
that's interesting. Yeah. What else have I got? I'm nearly done. Foxcatcher is
I don't consider
brilliant. Do you not like it? Oh no, that is a thriller.
I don't consider it a thriller. I consider it a drama.
Really? Okay.
I didn't put it on my list.
I think the way with the atmosphere and the way it builds onto something makes it a thriller for me. But yeah, oh my god, Bennett Miller's direction that I really like. But I'll move on. Personal Shopper.
Okay.
That's kind of I'm not sure how to classify Personal Shopper, but I think for me it's just about a paranormal thriller. And yeah, that's a really, really interesting film. And 71 as well, with Jack O'Connell is really, really worth checking out. That's really well put together. Like the pace of it is so good. So yeah, that's everything I've got. I don't know about you, Theo. Do you have anything else?
No, I was just gonna say, like, those are all really good. Or a lot of those movies I've been meaning to check out for a while. Oh, what did you say? Sorry, hey?
I thought you were gonna say all of those are really good, but not as good as what I'm about
to
say.
No. Sorry. So I just have a few. I don't really necessarily need to talk about them in depth. Just things that I mentioned that like I know aren't gonna be, like they're kind of on the fence. But I have to say, I personally love The Neon Demon. It's a weird ass movie. I don't know what to classify it. But I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know how we feel about Ex Machina because it is a sci-fi.
That's actually already on the tourney too.
Oh, that is sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just letting you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd allow you to say thriller if it weren't already listed. But yeah, one of the best sci-fis as well. Really interesting film.
Okay, totally.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I was gonna say, depending on how much we want to veer into action, I am a big fan of The Raid 2, which has a lot of thriller elements in it.
Theo, I tried to get The Raid on the tourney in the action episode of the decade.
So that's the thing, is I would not say The Raid is thriller. I would say The Raid 2 could definitely be
I'll
a
give you that.
thriller.
I think The Raid is the better movie.
The Raid is the better movie. I agree with you.
Buddies, we're good.
I no, so like that's the thing, is like The Raid is better, undisputably. I give The Raid 2 a higher rating because I love it, but undisputably. No, I'm sorry.
You're
but
good.
those are the only things I just wanted to talk about. They're like more on the fringe. I wouldn't really necessarily thrillers, but I just wanted to bring up. So
I just quick too before we go to. Sorry, I just saw these because Jude was naming a lot that I realized I left off. Bad Times at El Royale. I don't know what people consider that. I
Which
guess
one?
there's
Sorry?
Bad Times at El Royale. It's got some thrilling moments. I don't know if I just tuned out for you guys.
Oh, totally. That's a good one, because that's a movie that I immediately think, oh, it's and then I say noir, thriller, crime, drama all at once.
Well, I know a lot of people just say, "Oh, that's the Tarantino genre," and I'm like, well, that's not a genre. Like Tarantino doesn't own this. And then the only other one I wanted to bring up was Widows. I don't know if that's more crime than thrilling, but just those two quick, so that way they're mentioned. Real quick, let's decide. Theo, what is your definitive number one thriller choice of the decade?
I don't think it's gonna be a surprise, and I'm sorry, but my answer is gonna be boring. It is Burning. I just think Burning it happens to be one of my top 3 movies of this decade, in my opinion. I think it is a rare movie that I think translates the literary aspects of it well into film format, but then also does something with its film format. And so to me, Burning ranks incredibly strongly. Admittedly, it's not as fast-paced as other thrillers. That's my caveat.
No, that's fine. Jude, what is going to be your pick for the decade?
See, I don't know. I'm an R-ing. I think I've realized that the thriller genre is my genre now, because there are so many films here that I'd be happy to put in my number one and would be like overjoyed to see in the tourney. But I think I'm gonna land on The Handmaiden for me.
Cool.
The best thriller of the decade.
Wow.
It's just so good.
This is about to get interesting because I am going to go with Sicario for my pick.
Nice.
Which means we're in a 3-way tie.
Wait. Do people actually consensus on this podcast with the 50 different movies we toss out?
Yeah. So normally, it doesn't go where everybody just says Hereditary and then we end there.
Fair enough.
No, okay. But
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make this difficult.
I didn't think for a number 2. Let me think.
I think these are all great picks, by the way. Like that, it's so hard.
That's the thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely difficult. I'm actually going to go with my second pick. I'll go Gone Girl. Give Gone Girl some love.
Totally.
Second place. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's just like what I'm feeling right now. I don't know what it is, but like I'm just looking at like the whole list that I have. And I was like, you know what? Like that is a great movie. But Jude, you're back up. What's your pick?
I don't know. I am gonna go for The Guilty just because it's so unique and unlike anything else.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Theo, what is going to be your second round pick?
So if I can give a tiny short story for this one, I think it's very funny. My backup pick will be Nightcrawler. It's a movie it's the only movie in my top 10 that I don't think should be there, but I watched it at like a very formative. I know I have the Cowboy Bebop movie up there, and I think that belongs. But Nightcrawler is a movie that came at like a very formative time, and like when I watched it, I was like, it was during midterms week, and I was super fried, and it was happening when I was like transitioning from like like engineering into medieval history, and so I was just like, going through a lot. I was like, I'm failing all these classes. Like, there's so much stress. Like, my parents are like freaking out. Like, I just did these more terms, and I don't think I did well. Like, I had to. It's just a very like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm gonna get kicked out of college. And so I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna lighten myself up by watching this like cool new X-Men movie. Like I never go to, you know, and because I was like, I never go to the movies, but fuck it, I just need to like sit and like have fun for 2 hours. And so like I went in and I was like, wow, this is a very interesting origin story. Like Jake Gyllenhaal as Nightcrawler, I could see that. He's kind of like lanky, lithe, you know, but like muscular. And then like it kept going and I kept going. And at some point, I was just like, wait, like I don't think this is X-Men movie anymore. And I left that just like so like. I just left that. I went in with such a mindset, and I left just kind of feeling like I did not need that, but that's one of the best movies I've ever seen up until my life at this point. That like that's my secondary pick, and I've seen that 8 times actually. I've seen that.
Oh my god! Wow.
I actually saw that this year, and I can say in my eyes it holds up. So y'all should watch it again if you're afraid. This is how I feel about it.
Oh well.
Okay, so that still leaves us in a standstill.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's fine. This is fun. Theo, what's going to be your third pick?
Oh Jesus Christ! Can I just say one of your? Wait, you know what? Unironically, Sicario. I'm sorry. That's not like I don't mean to do this to alleviate it. I just think that Sicario is masterful. It's like how I feel about it.
Up with a third round pick.
I'm gonna go for Burning.
Okay. Oh no, Jude!
Jude, you troll!
No, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I think because I think Burning is better than Sicario, I've just got to block Sicario right here.
That's fair.
I would pick Burning too if I didn't already pick it.
I would pick Sicario as well if it wasn't already picked.
You gonna pick Burning now?
Well, the problem is, okay, so here's the problem. Mathematically, it's impossible for the guilty to get enough points to win at this point, which was going to be what my third pick was, but that wouldn't develop anything.
I'm sorry,
No, it's okay. The problem is, okay, seriously, the actual problem is I was going to go Nightcrawler here.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me think about this real quick.
Okay.
Gosh.
I haven't been doing the math. Well, this like actually.
No, I have been doing the math. The thing is, Nightcrawler doesn't have enough because Sicario and Burning just got third place votes. Nightcrawler's out, The Guilty's out, Gone Girl's out, The Handmaiden's out, and we're left with Burning and Sicario. Coming back to me. See, here's the problem. Theo has voted for both of these. Me and Jude could vote for a fourth round, but it would be reductive because the only one both of us have left is separately those picks. So we're literally at a standstill.
Is it a tie? Because that'd be cool.
What am I supposed to do with the? Okay, tell you what. I'll just
wait. Hang on. Wait, no. Okay, so we've got to explain this to me. We voted Burning through at the start of this podcast, didn't we?
We voted Burning for the fan vote.
Right.
So the fans can bring it in so long as it gets the top 10 votes.
Burning ain't gonna get through the fan vote. Something tells me. Sicario won't either, though. That's the thing.
I want to protect Burning and people to see it. And I think I can get Sicario in another way. I hope
somehow wheedle it in.
Well, no, the only thing I was thinking is that is definitely a film I would bring up. Hell or High Water and Sicario both are films that I would protect with my number one.
That's very fair.
The only thing I worry is it's not, like you guys mentioned, it's on a lot of people's Villeneuve list a little lower. So when it comes to the fan vote, I hope they don't let me down, but you never know. So I'll let
whatever you choose. Hey, I trust your decision.
The worst thing is you're going to see The Handmaiden tonight and think it's the best film ever and wish you'd vote in number one.
Dude, you're just gonna be like, hey Theo, Jude, can we re-record this
on
Sunday?
Anyway, here's what I'll do. I'll actually re-record this after seeing The Handmaiden tonight.
Oh my god, what a twist!
Oh
if
man,
this whole
podcast is a thriller.
Yeah.
It's so meta.
If I think it's a number 2 vote, if I think it's better than Gone Girl, I'll actually retroactively switch it. That's if things go well tonight. If not, Burning is the pick. So
Okay.
you'll hear a
Damn.
re-recorded version of this later.
Okay,
Man,
cool. Cool.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Hey, so I just watched The Handmaiden. It's very late right now, and I'm gonna be honest, because some circumstances that I'm going through right now, I had to watch it on my smaller TV, which definitely could have affected my choice a little bit. Thought it was a great movie. However, I think I'm gonna get a little bold and say I'm not sure if The Handmaiden is a thriller. For that very reason, the pick is going to be Burning. So Burning is going to be the pick for the tourney. Full film. I really hope Handmaiden can form a certain discussion so that way it can prop itself into the tourney. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But Burning is the pick, and hopefully Sicario will inevitably make it onto the tourney. We'll see, but a little worried about my little baby Sicario. But Burning is the pick. Just reiterating again, sorry to input this. I know the audio was a little weird this episode and things were happening, but thank you guys for listening. Back to the episode.
Yeah. But real quick, that's our episode. So whatever I said was the pick. Great job, either Burning or Handmaiden or Mario. We're gonna wrap things up with a recommend for the week. These are films or TV shows or music, games, arts, just anything in particular we've been up to. Theo, what is going to be your recommend to the people of all that film this week?
Okay, so I was floored by Knife Plus Heart this week. And the story behind that is on Thursdays, I have 10 hours of class, and I'm just so like brain drained by the end of it because it's like, it's like software development shit. And it's like two hardest classes. And so one of my friends was like, hey, you want to watch a movie afterwards? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And he had this like, oh, I've got this like cool Neo Giallo like gay movie. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like, Giallos are kind of silly. And so I watched that, and I was just like I watched that, and I just could not stop thinking about it. And it might have been the fact that like I was so tired, I was so fried, I was like awake for like 30 hours at that point. But I really like that it is a movie that feels to me what a good love letter, like a good pastiche is, because it is like a neo blank, a neo genre, but I like that it adds in something else to like separate it from just being like, oh, this is a new version of it. And in this one, I like that it's a world of like sexual liberation. And so my comparison to it is The Duke of Burgundy by Peter Strickland, which is a movie where there's only women and like people in relationships, and so of course everyone is a lesbian, and that like never becomes an actual like point. It's just like, oh, everyone is a lesbian, but like also little things are brought up to clue you in, like, oh, they're discussing like subdom BDSM topics like so casually. That's just the norm in this world. Like they're just shopping for a human toilet, with just such informality. And so Knife Plus Heart to me is like, oh, every character is like gay and queer and trans or whatever, such that like no one is, like it doesn't matter. And to me, I really like that this was like, oh great, so this is like a gay movie that's like not actually about the tragedy of like being gay.
Sure. Which is a lot with those types of films deal with. I know a bunch of people are like super annoyed because most gay films usually end with like a sad ending, because it's like, oh hey, here's the world we live in.
Right.
Like, oh geez.
And there's like certainly a time and place for that. And I love those movies a lot, but that's my recommendation of the week. It is beautiful, and you'll never look at the dildo the same way again.
Oh. All right, Jude, what is going to be your recommend for the week?
Well, my original recommendation was The Doom Generation by Gregor Rack, which I think is amazing.
Wow.
But I just thought Gillian Flynn wrote Gone Girl and Widows, both of which we brought up. And she has just wrapped filming on her new project, which is a TV show called Utopia. Hey, you may have seen this because I just go on about this on Twitter all the time. But that is based on a UK show of the same name, which is my favorite TV show of all time. It's a thriller TV show so it fits. It's so cinematic and unique and brutal and just like nothing I've ever seen before. It's absolutely amazing. It's on Amazon Prime in the UK. I don't know where it is in the US, but it is so worth seeking out. It's so good. And if you love film, then you'll get something out of Utopia.
Can you?
So yeah, that's my recommendation of the week. Utopia, yeah.
Okay.
And there's the American adaptation is coming out on Amazon Prime sometime early next year, I think. So if you want to get ready for Gillian Flynn's new project, then Utopia is definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. My recommend for the week is actually going to be a David Mackenzie film. It's one Blake recommended to me, and I finally checked it out. It's called Startup.
Yes.
It is an incredible film. I think
So
actually,
good.
yeah, one worthy of making this tournament.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see how that develops. But I don't think, I say this, and 29 out of like the 400-ish people that follow me have seen it. But I think it's one of those like short-term 12. I don't know why I consider them very similar. I just think they tackle some themes in a very interesting way similarly. So I attach them, especially because I think a lot of people need to be shown short-term 12. The same thing I think needs to be shown in Startup. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's on Vudu for free too. So all you have to do is set up a Vudu account. It doesn't cost you any money. And yeah, it's Jack O'Connell and Ben Mendelsohn just acting their butts off, literally. But yeah, great film. That's actually gonna wrap it up for the week. Thank you, Theo and Jude, for coming on.
No, this was very fun.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you for
really
having
good.
me.
We want to find you guys. Of course, Jude is always Jude JFR on Letterboxd. I am at 50 Shades of Hay. Theo, where can we find you?
Goodness. I don't have quite as catchy one. It is it's Rebu. Long story. I was like 12 when I made this. I don't even know what it means
Good luck spelling that.
But it is REIBU. So it's if you want to.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see more of us on Twitter, you can do so at All That Film Podcast. If you guys want to email us, you can do so at allthatfilm1@gmail.com. If you guys want to check our website to see all of our lovely picks for the 2010's tourney, and of course, whatever won this episode, who knows, then you can do so at allthatfilmpodcast.wordpress.com. That's going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed thrillingness of... why did I do that? See you guys.
Bye.
Yo, adios. Peace. Yeah. Oh shit. What the fuck? Oh, oops. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
No,
love
it's
that
fine.
sound
It's
so
fine.
much.
It happens to the best of us.
I was like not ready for this.